back to the book. At 7:45 a.m., the enemy struck at the left flank of Tony Nadal's Alpha Company at the critical elbow where Alpha and Charlie companies were tied in. We were now under attack from 3 directions. Grazing fire from rifles and machine guns shredded the elephant grass and swept over the battalion command post and aid station. Leaves, bark, and small branches fluttered down on us. Several troopers were wounded in the same command post, and at least one was killed. My radio operator, Spec 4 Robert P. Ouellette, 23 years old, had a bespeckled six-forter from Madawaska, Maine, was hit and slumped over in a sprawl, unmoving and seemingly dead. I kept the handset to my ear. And here's Joe Galloway, the reporter. The incoming fire was only a couple of feet off the ground, and I was down as flat as I could get when I felt the toe of a combat boot in my ribs. I turned my head sideways and looked up. There, standing tall, was Sergeant Major Basil Plumley. Plumley leaned down and shouted over the noise of the guns, "You can't take no pictures laying down there on the ground, sonny." He was calm, fearless, and grinning. I thought, he's right. We're all going to die anyways, so I might as well take mine standing up. I got up and began taking a few photographs. Plumley moved over to the aid station, pulled out his .45, chambered around, and informed Dr. Carrera and his medics, "Gentlemen, prepare to defend yourselves." So Plumley thought they were getting overrun too, or at least going to get close. If you're in the aid station, that's in the center of this whole perimeter. And he's pulling out his .45 and saying, "Prepare to defend yourselves." You can't make that up. Specialist Willard F. Parrish, 24 years old and a native of Bristow, Oklahoma, was an assistant squad leader of one of Charlie Company's 81mm mortar squads. Parrish was one of the mortar men who had been outfitted with the spare machine guns and rifles collected from our casualties and put on the Delta Company perimeter. Parrish recalls, "When we were hit, I remember all the tracer rounds, and I wondered how even an ant could get through that." Back to our right, we started hearing the guys hollering, "They're coming around, they're coming around." I was in a foxhole with a guy from Chicago, PFC James E. Coleman, and he had an M16. I had my .45 and his .45, and I had an M60 machine gun. We were set up facing out into the tall grass. I was looking out front, and I could see some of the grass going down like someone was crawling in it. I hollered, "Who's out there?" Nobody answered, and I hollered again. No answer. I turned to Coleman. "Burn his ass." Coleman said, "My rifle's jammed." I looked at him and him at me. Then I looked to the front, and they were growing out of the weeds. I just remember getting that machine gun from there on out, and the training takes over, and you put your mind somewhere else because I really don't remember what specifically I did. I was totally unaware of the time, the conditions. On that M60 machine gun, according to the extracts from his Silver Star citation, Specialist Parrish delivered lethal fire on wave after wave of the enemy until he ran out of ammunition. Then, standing up under fire with a .45 pistol in each hand, Parrish fired clip after clip into the enemy who were 20 yards out, and he stopped their attack. Says Parrish, "I feel like I didn't do any more than anybody else did up there. I remember a lot of noise, a lot of yelling, and then all at once it was quiet. The silence out in front of Willard Parrish was that of the cemetery. More than 100 dead North Vietnamese were later found where they had fallen in a semicircle around his foxhole." .45 in each hand. That's crazy, actually. I mean, he's going to a whole nother level. Yeah. Because you can't reload, you can't reload your pistol. So maybe he would stand up, fire both, just dump a mag in each round, in each pistol, get back down, reload them both. Yeah. But then he got out that's after he used all of his 60 ammo. George Fox, 25, and Nathaniel Bird, 22, were slumped across their silent M60 machine gun, surrounded by heaps of empty shell casings and empty ammunition cans. They had died together, shoulder to shoulder. Sergeant Jemison pays them the ultimate compliment of a professional soldier. Bird and Fox did a great job. They kept firing that gun and didn't leave it. They stayed on it to the end.